say it was strong. I don't know exactly how, strong I would say this is. Thomas said they're not conspiring to sabotage somebody who, by the way, would be great for the league. And he is great for the league because the league wants eyeballs on it. There is no reason they would be trying to conspire against him and sabotage him. He all goes on to say, I think he has a higher ceiling. He's a great playmaker. He was tremendously accurate. He has the feel when he's in the game and how to make the big plays. But just because you have the ceiling that's really high and the potential to be able to do that doesn't mean you could do that right now.
Browns and their quarterback situation again, God willing, for months. Shedeur could not afford the type of performance he had in the third preseason game. It is as simple as that. When you are a late round pick rookie, you can't have a disastrous performance. You can't. And he did. It was not the coach's fault. It was not the offensive line's fault. It was he had a bad game, flatly. And the reason it is extra concerning is those of us that were skeptical that he was ever truly a first-round talent, we were worried that his bad games would look a lot like that. Like trying to do a little too much with his legs, overestimating his escapability.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Let's just call it what it is. The New York Giants made the single biggest mistake of the entire draft. And now, thanks to Joe Thomas, we finally know why. When a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, a guy who spent over a decade protecting quarterbacks in the trenches, steps up and says Shedeur Sanders has a higher ceiling, that he's tremendously accurate, that he's got the feel and the playmaking instincts that separate good quarterbacks from great ones. You don't brush that off. You don't ignore that. You pay attention, because Joe Thomas isn't some hot take machine looking for clicks. This is one of the most respected voices in football. And for him to say that out loud, that's massive, that's damning, and it should make Giants fans furious. Because here's the truth, New York didn't pass on Shedeur because of talent. They passed on him because they were scared. Scared of the noise. Scared of the spotlight that comes with being Destined Sanders' son. Scared of the pressure cooker that follows him everywhere he goes. And instead of betting on talent, they bet on comfort. They bet on silence. They bet on avoiding headlines. And in doing so, they handed away the chance to draft the most accurate quarterback in college football. The guy Joe Thomas just told us could change a franchise. Think about how insane that is. The Giants, a team that has been starving for quarterback stability since Eli Manning retired, had Shedeur Sanders staring them right in the face. They had a chance to bring in a young passer with NFL bloodlines, elite accuracy, and the swagger to handle New York's media circus. Instead, they chose Jackson Dart, a project, a maybe, a hope and pray selection. And while they're rolling those dice, they've still got Russell Wilson, 36 years old, fresh off a season where he looked completely washed, trying to keep the ship afloat. Giants fans deserve better than this. And what makes this so much worse is that Joe Thomas exposed what we all suspected. This wasn't about football. Not really. Teams looked at Shedeur and said, we don't want the pressure. We don't want the drama. We don't want Coach Prime hovering in the background. That's fear talking. That's politics talking. And when you let fear dictate your draft board, you set your franchise back years. Let's not sugarcoat this. The Giants had an opportunity to draft a quarterback who could have defined the next decade of their franchise. And they blew it. They blinked. And now they're stuck watching Shedeur in Cleveland, waiting for his chance to step in and light it up, while they're trotting out a declining Russell Wilson and a rookie who isn't ready for the big stage. That's not just a mistake, that's a disaster. And I'll tell you this right now, when Shedeur Sanders gets his shot, when he steps onto that field and starts proving Joe Thomas right in front of the whole world, the Giants are going to regret this forever. They're going to look back and realize they didn't just pass on a quarterback, they passed on a movement. And that's the part that stings the most, because this isn't just about one team missing. This is about the league showing us what it values. This is about how politics and fear still outweigh pure talent. And for the Giants, that choice might end up defining their entire future. Let me tell you who Shedeur Sanders really is. Not the 5th round pick. Not the kid teams blacklisted because of his last name. Not the so-called project quarterback that executives tried to paint him as. No, Shedeur Sanders is a baller. he's a surgeon with the football. He's the kind of quarterback who can walk onto a field, size up a defense, and in one snap make you realize, yeah, this guy is built different. Accuracy? Off the charts. He didn't just lead college football in completion percentage for nothing. His ball placement is next level. Tight windows, sideline throws, touch passes over linebackers, lasers on 3rd and long. He's got it all. Poise, ice cold. You could throw a blitz package at him, disguise coverages, send heat off the edge, and he's still standing tall. Reading, processing, delivering. That's not normal. That's not rookie stuff. That's the sign of a quarterback who's been studying the game since day one. And let's not forget who raised him. This is Coach Prime's son. He's been groomed for this spotlight his entire life. The cameras don't scare him. The critics don't shake him. Pressure is his oxygen. And leadership, that's the piece that never shows up on a draft profile. But everybody who's played with him talks about it. When Shedeur is in the huddle, guys buy in. They believe. They feed off his calm. They play harder because they know he's going to keep them in it until the final whistle. You don't teach that. You either have it or you don't. And Shedeur, he's got it in spades. Let's be real. How does that compare to Jackson Dart? A raw talent with flashes, sure, but nowhere near the consistency. And Russell Wilson, Giants fans, I hate to say it, but the man looks cooked. He's 36, slower, hesitant, and his arm doesn't scare defenses anymore. That's your bridge? That's your future? Meanwhile, Cleveland has Shedeur waiting in the wings. And look, we've seen this before. Tom Brady, overlooked, doubted, called too slow, too skinny. Dak Prescott, drafted in the 4th round because teams didn't believe in his polish. Jalen Hurts, written off as just a runner until he became an MVP candidate. You know the pattern. Quarterbacks who get doubted, who get overlooked, end up becoming the ones who change everything. Shedeur fits that mold perfectly. He's not some overhyped product of the system. He's the real deal. The NFL today isn't about sitting in the pocket like a statue. It's about quick reads, mobility, creativity. It's about extending plays, throwing off script, being dangerous when everything breaks down. That's exactly where Shedeur thrives. He's got the fundamentals, but he's also got the it factor, that spark, that edge, the thing you can't measure with a stopwatch or a Wonderlic, the thing that makes fans lean forward in their seats and say, yo, this kid is special. That's who Shedeur Sanders really is. And the scary part for the rest of the league, we haven't even seen the best of him yet. Let's be real about this. Shedeur Sanders didn't fall in the draft because of talent. We all know it. Joe Thomas confirmed it. And the more you look at how this kid was treated, the more it reeks of something deeper. This wasn't about arm strength. This wasn't about accuracy. This wasn't about leadership. No, this was about fear. This was about control. This was about the NFL machine flexing its power because one kid and one family wouldn't play by their little pre-draft games. Executives didn't like the Sanders circus. They didn't like the cameras. They didn't like Coach Prime speaking his mind. And they sure as hell didn't like the fact that Shedeur wasn't willing to bow down and do things their way. They wanted him at every workout, jumping through hoops, answering their cookie-cutter questions the way they wanted. And when he didn't, when he carried himself with the same confidence his dad built a career on, they punished him. They pushed him down draft boards. They blacklisted him. And don't tell me it's a coincidence that when he finally got on the field in preseason, they set him up to fail. Think about it. Shedeur's last preseason game, they throw him out there with 3rd stringers, 4th stringers, guys who won't even make the roster. No protection, no chemistry, no shot to show what he can really do. And when he struggles, what happens? They pull him for Tyler Huntley in the 2-minute drill. You can't convince me that wasn't intentional. You can't convince me they didn't want to keep the noise down. Because imagine if Shedeur led that drive, marched down the field, and scored a game-winning touchdown. The fans would have lost their minds. The media would have exploded. And suddenly, the pressure to start him over Joe Flacco would have been unbearable. This wasn't football. This was politics. This was a league saying, we'll decide when you get your shot, not you. It's the same old school mentality that's been running the NFL for decades. Obey. Be quiet. Wait your turn. Don't challenge the system. And if you do, we'll humble you. That's the mindset Shedeur walked into. That's what he's up against. But here's the thing. That kind of fear tells you everything you need to know. If the league wasn't scared of Shedeur, they wouldn't be working so hard to control the narrative. If executives weren't worried about what he represents, confidence, family, culture, spotlight, they wouldn't care. But they do. Because deep down, they know he's different. They know he's dangerous. They know that once he gets his chance, once he's unleashed, he's gonna prove every one of them wrong. And that's why this story isn't just about a draft snub. It's about revenge. It's about a young quarterback who refused to play their game, and now he's gonna beat them at their own. Because the truth, they don't want to see him win. But when he does, it's gonna feel that much sweeter. Here's where the story flips. Because while the Giants panicked, while other teams ran scared of the Sanders name, Cleveland might have actually played this perfectly. Yeah, I said it. The Browns, a franchise that's been the punchline of quarterback jokes for decades, might have just pulled off the smartest move of the entire draft. Look at what they're doing. They didn't throw Shedeur into the fire right away. They didn't toss him behind a shaky offensive line against starting defenses, with all the pressure of save the franchise dumped on his shoulders. No, they let Joe Flacco take the hits. They let the veteran be the lightning rod. And say what you want about Flacco, but that man is steady. He knows how to handle losing streaks. He knows how to stand in front of the media when the questions get ugly. He's been through it all. That's the sacrificial lamb right there. And while he's out there taking the heat, Shedeur gets to sit back, learn, grow, and prepare
prepare for when it's really his time. This is the same blueprint we've seen work for the best quarterbacks in modern NFL history. Patrick Mahomes didn't start day one. He sat behind Alex Smith for a year, studied the game, and by the time he took over, he lit the league on fire. Aaron Rodgers didn't get handed the Packers on a silver platter. He had to wait behind Brett Favre. He had to grind, to learn, to develop, and when his time came, he became one of the greatest arms the league has ever seen. Cleveland is doing the exact same thing with Shedeur Sanders. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about doubt. This isn't about them not believing in him. This is about protecting the investment. The Browns know exactly what they have. They know he's the most accurate quarterback to come out of college football in years. They know the ceiling is sky high, but they also know that if you rush a rookie, if you force him into chaos before he's ready, you risk breaking him. We've seen it too many times. David Carr in Houston, Zach Wilson in New York, Josh Rosen in Arizona. Quarterbacks who had talent, but never had a chance because their teams threw them straight into the meat grinder. Cleveland refuses to let that happen to Shedeur, and that's why this might be the master plan. While the rest of the league is desperate, shuffling quarterbacks, signing washed veterans, praying their rookies figure it out, the Browns are sitting on the ace in the hole. They got a potential franchise quarterback in the 5th round, the steal of the century, and now they're grooming him the right way. Slowly, carefully, strategically. So when the day finally comes, when Joe Flacco either falters, or the Browns can't deny the pressure any longer, Shedeur Sanders isn't walking out there as some raw rookie. He's walking out as a polished, prepared quarterback ready to flip the AFC upside down. And I'll tell you right now, when that happens, we're all going to look back and realize Cleveland outsmarted everyone. This is where it all comes together. Because no matter how the critics spin it, no matter how the executives try to control the story, Shedeur Sanders is on a collision course with history. And the Giants, the executives who laughed, the analysts who doubted, they're all going to regret every single word. Joe Thomas told us the truth. He said Shedeur has the ceiling. He said Shedeur has the accuracy. He said Shedeur has the playmaking ability you can't coach. Travis Kelce said it too. He stood up and demanded, give the people what they want. And LeBron James, one of the most powerful athletes on the planet, was tweeting about Shedeur after his preseason debut. That's not hype. That's not smoke. That's reality. When players, legends, and icons are all speaking the same truth, you better believe something big is coming. And here's what makes this story so beautiful. The redemption arc is already being written. The Giants didn't believe. The executives didn't believe. But the fans, we believe. And that's what matters. Because in sports, it's not always about where you start. It's about how you finish. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Dak Prescott was a 4th. Jalen Hurts was questioned every step of the way, and every one of them proved the league wrong. Shedeur Sanders is about to walk that same path. Think about what's lining up here. The Browns got him for the price of a backup. They don't have to rush him. They don't have to force it. They can let him grow until the moment is undeniable. And when that moment comes, when he steps onto the field as QB1, it's not just going to be about one team. It's going to be about all of us. Every fan who's been waiting for the league to recognize real talent. Every supporter who's tired of politics deciding who gets a chance. Every believer who knows Shedeur was built for this. Because let me tell you right now, this isn't just a quarterback story. This is bigger. This is about a kid who refused to bow to the system, who carried himself with pride, who stood tall even when the league tried to break him. And soon when he's throwing touchdowns in primetime, when the cameras can't look away, when the chants are too loud to ignore, the world will finally see what we've seen from the start. The Giants didn't believe. The executives didn't believe. But we believe. And soon the whole world will believe. So here's my prediction. Shedeur Sanders will rise. He will make the Giants sick with regret. He will make the executives eat their words. And he will make history. You're not just watching a draft pick develop. You're witnessing a movement. And if you're here right now, you're part of it. So hit that like button, join this community, and ride with us through every step of this journey. Because when Shedeur Sanders takes over the league, you'll be able to say you were here before the world finally caught on.